Some people move through life drawn less to noise and more to quiet forms of presence. Among them are those who feel an unspoken ease around cats, not as companions to control, but as beings to coexist with. This connection is rarely just about preference. It often reflects how someone relates to space, emotion, and unspoken boundaries. Maybe you tend to notice subtle moods, value independence without distance, and feel understood without needing to explain yourself. In this video, we sit with those quieter layers of connection. So if this rhythm feels familiar, consider subscribing and stay with us as we move deeper. A quiet kind of love. Some forms of care arrive without announcement. They don't rush forward or demand to be noticed. They simply stay close, steady, and attentive in ways that are easy to miss if you're not looking for them. This kind of love often feels calm rather than exciting. It carries patience, restraint, and a respect for space that doesn't need to be explained. You may recognize it in yourself as a preference for presence over performance. Loving a cat often mirrors this inner rhythm. Cats don't respond to force or urgency. They soften only around quiet consistency. In that exchange, something familiar unfolds. Many people who feel drawn to cats seem comfortable with affection that unfolds slowly. They trust timing more than control. They understand closeness as something earned, not claimed. And maybe this quiet love isn't something they learned. Maybe it's something they always carried, more than a preference. At first glance, it can look like a simple choice, a fondness, a taste, a habit formed over time. But some attachments sit deeper than preference alone. There is often an emotional alignment beneath the surface, a sense of recognition rather than selection. Loving cats can feel less like choosing and more like noticing something that already fits. Cats move through the world with selective openness. They don't offer themselves all at once, and neither do the people who feel most comfortable around them. The connection forms in pauses, not declarations. In many cases, this bond reflects a personality shaped around sensitivity to timing and tone, around knowing when to approach and when to stay back. It may not be about liking cats more than others. It may be about resonating with a certain way of being. Gentleness in a loud world. Modern life rarely rewards softness. Noise, speed, and certainty tend to take up most of the space. Gentleness often survives quietly at the edges. For some people, loving cats feels like a refuge from that constant intensity. A place where care doesn't need to compete or shout to be real. Where calm is not mistaken for absence. Cats respond best to softness. They lean into voices that don't push, movements that don't overwhelm. In their presence, gentleness stops feeling like a disadvantage. Many people who love cats carry this same quality within themselves. They navigate the world carefully, sensing when energy is too sharp, when closeness needs to be slower. Perhaps this bond exists because gentleness needs somewhere to rest, somewhere it doesn't have to defend itself, attuned to subtle signals. Some people notice what others pass over. A shift in mood, a pause before a response, a quiet change in atmosphere. These details speak loudly to them. This sensitivity isn't always conscious. It shows up as intuition, as a feeling that something has changed, even when nothing has been said. Cats communicate in this subtle language. A flick of the tail, a slow blink, a body turned slightly away. Loving them requires attention without intrusion. People drawn to cats often live this way with others too. They listen between words. They respond to what is implied rather than announced. In many cases, this attunement isn't learned. It grows from a long familiarity with silence. The power of non-threatening energy. There is a kind of presence that doesn't pressure. It doesn't rush connection or demand response. It simply makes room. Cats gravitate toward this energy instinctively. They avoid force and move closer to calm. The bond forms when safety is felt, not proven. Many cat lovers carry this same non-threatening quality. Others may describe them as easy to be around without knowing why. They don't crowd emotional space. This often comes from an understanding that closeness cannot be forced. That trust grows best when it is invited gently. And maybe this is why cats choose them, because they recognize safety before words ever arrive. The one chosen in silence. When a cat chooses someone, it rarely makes a scene. There is no ceremony, no announcement, just a quiet settling nearby. Being chosen this way can feel unexpectedly meaningful, as if something unseen has been acknowledged. For many people, this mirrors a deeper longing to be recognized without performing, to be selected without explanation. Cats seem to sense when someone doesn't need to be impressive to feel worthy. They respond to stillness rather than effort. Perhaps this silent choosing resonates because it reflects how some people wish to be loved themselves. Low intrusiveness, high responsiveness. Some people know how to stay back without disappearing. They don't invade space, yet they respond fully when invited in. Cats thrive on this balance. They pull away from intrusion, but soften quickly toward respect. The relationship grows in mutual pacing. Those who love cats often live this rhythm naturally. They wait, they observe, and when presence is needed, they show up completely. This kind of responsiveness doesn't draw attention to itself. It doesn't ask for credit. In many cases, it comes from understanding how fragile trust can be. Quiet wounds and gentle healing. Not all sensitivity comes from comfort. Sometimes it grows from earlier hurt, from learning that safety matters. Cats don't ask for emotional explanations. They offer warmth without questions, closeness without interrogation. For many people, this feels deeply healing. A connection that doesn't reopen wounds, only softens them. Loving cats can become a way of relearning trust at a pace the nervous system can tolerate. Maybe the bond exists not because of pain, but because of how carefully it has been carried. Unmasked connection. With cats, there is little need to perform. They don't respond to charm or status, only to authenticity. This can feel relieving for people who grow tired of social masks, of adjusting themselves to be accepted. Cats meet you where you are, not where you pretend to be. And for many, that honesty feels rare. In this space, connection becomes simpler, less curated, more real. Perhaps this is why it feels so personal. Rich inner worlds. Some lives are lived loudly outward. Others unfold inward, layered and vivid in quieter ways. People who love cats often carry rich inner landscapes, thoughts, emotions, and imaginations that don't need constant expression. Cats seem to sense this depth. They are comfortable sitting beside someone who doesn't need to fill silence. The companionship feels mutual rather than entertaining. Shared presence rather than exchange. And maybe this shared stillness is where the connection deepens. Warm distance. Closeness does not always mean proximity. Sometimes it lives in respectful distance, in allowing space without withdrawal. Cats embody this perfectly. They stay near without clinging. They leave without abandoning. Many people who love them relate to others this way, offering warmth without ownership, care without control. This balance often comes from emotional maturity rather than detachment, a knowing that love can breathe. Boundary intelligence. Some people understand boundaries instinctively. They feel when a line has been crossed without needing it explained. Cats teach this lesson quickly. They withdraw when limits are ignored and return when respect is restored. Loving them requires attentiveness to invisible lines, a skill many cat lovers already carry. This awareness often extends to human relationships as well. Boundaries become acts of care rather than rejection. Secure solitude. Enjoying solitude doesn't always mean avoiding connection. Sometimes it means being secure enough not to chase it. Cats coexist comfortably with alone time. They share space without demanding interaction. People who love them often feel the same ease. They don't fear being alone, nor do they cling to company. This security creates relationships that feel chosen rather than needed. A quiet confidence settles in. Quiet strength. Deep love. Strength doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it shows up as patience, as steadiness, as restraint. Cats respond to this quiet strength. They trust those who don't need to dominate. Many people who love cats carry resilience that goes unnoticed. They endure without spectacle. Their love runs deep precisely because it is calm, not fragile, just understated. Maybe it was never about cats. Over time, it becomes harder to say whether the love was about cats at all. Perhaps they were simply mirrors, reflecting qualities already present: sensitivity, boundaries, gentleness, depth. Loving cats may have been less a preference and more a recognition, a quiet way of seeing oneself without needing to say it out loud. Some connections do not announce themselves loudly. They settle into the room, the way a quiet presence does, and leave behind a feeling that lingers even after nothing more is said. It is the kind of understanding that does not demand closure, only space to breathe and remain unfinished for a moment longer. Maybe this was never just about animals or preferences at all. Maybe, in some quiet way, it was about the parts of you that respond to subtle warmth, to distance that still feels safe, to love that does not rush to prove itself. There is nothing lacking in that way of feeling. It carries its own steadiness, its own permission to exist without explanation or display. And as this thought stays with you, another begins to form gently beside it, about a different rhythm of affection and connection. Somewhere ahead, the reflections continue through the psychology of people who love dogs, not as an answer, but as another open doorway waiting in the same calm silence.